Hello leaders, my name is Shane Malcolm, Executive Director of Leadership Niagara, and this is Return on Leadership. But I'm curious to find out what kind of tools or example of a tool that you would really employ within the work that you're doing as an agent.
So one of the most important tools I would say is problem identification. Often we have a really good way of doing something that might work in our workplace, and it's the way we usually operate, and it's not always the cases like that using a hammer to screw in something, right?
Yeah.
You don't do that. So there's really three types of problems you see in the community. You see simple problems, you see complicated problems or challenges, and you see complex problems and challenges. And those are different, and they require different ways to address them. A lot of times people don't do that, and it can create a real mess. So a simple problem is something that is generally understood, you know what works, or someone knows what works, and you basically go and get the answer and you apply it quickly. So, there's non-community problems. There's just sort of like, how do you make toast? There's a specific set of instructions on that, and you can just do it, right? Complicated is the types of issues where there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of calculations, and you may know where you want to go at the beginning of working on it, but you may have to figure out the steps to get there. So the classic example of this is putting somebody on the moon, where you do a lot of calculations, you bring in a lot of experts, and then you figure out the trajectory of the rocket and how much fuel you need and all these things, and then you proceed with that process. Okay. Most of the issues we're facing now in our communities are neither of those. Okay. They're in the areas of complexity, and this comes from complexity science. Complex issues have social challenges, social pieces to them, where there may be multiple solutions. Maybe you don't even know how to define the problem correctly. Poverty, if we could define the problem of poverty in a way, it would lead to the solutions, but we all can't agree on how to even define the problem in the first place. So there's lots of tools for working in the area of complexity. The biggest learning, I would say, is we hear all the time, what you do is you take a complex problem and simplify it. And that does not work at all. In complexity theory, complicated, simplify. Complexity, don't simplify. Right. Just like there's no silver bullet to solve poverty or homelessness or whatever the issue is. If you try to do that, then you're going to create a lot more problems. Right. The other piece to that is that we have a lot of our leaders come from 20th century business thinking, and a lot of that is complicated issues. And we've solved that through our business problems. We have very rigorous and finely tuned ways to deal with business challenges. The ones where we haven't figured out, it's a real mistake to try and take those kinds of tools that might work in the business place and apply them in the community. So hopefully, again, through the program, we're giving sort of a more robust set of tools for people to use and understanding how things might be different in a workplace versus different in the community. A key example to that is who's in charge in the community. So if you and I want to get together with some other people and we want to solve an issue, are you in charge? Whereas in the workplace, if you're my boss, you're in charge. You can tell me, Jeff, you're working on this. But in the community, what happens? You bring 10 people together, some or all want to be in charge, and some want to participate, and some have pieces. How do you even negotiate that? Right. So that's where you're working in areas of complexity.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you say that example of, who's in charge within the community space, right? You go back to even what we kind of build ourselves on in terms of inspiring leaders and building community, because within the workplace structure, yes, leadership is more kind of prescribed. You have a title that you kind of follow, but within the community, we're all equal people here. Our voices matter the same amount. So how do you actually get things moving when somebody has to step up and then, as you said, navigating that negotiating process around, well, who's it going to be? So thanks, Jeff. I think that was a really good way of kind of showing examples of tools that participants get not only through the program, but that they can employ as community leaders. And if you're actually interested in finding out more about some of the resources that Jeff just talked about, we'll be providing a link with that below. So thanks, Jeff, for taking the time to sit down and talk to us. Is there anything that you're involved in that you want to plug or talk about, or what's next for you?
I'd love to talk about Leadership Niagara.
Sure.
So We will be recruiting new program advisory members in the next little while. So by the time you see this video, that should be posted at leadershipniagara.ca.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, cheers.
All right. Thank you for tuning in, and please join us next time for another episode of Return on Leadership.
Want to hear more? Stay tuned in for the next part of this series on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter.